So today I'm going to show you how to build a VTOL gunship like this. It maintains altitude on its own. You got side-to-side strafing. And it can fly in pretty much any direction you want it to. So, let's build one from scratch. We'll start with a seat. And a little bit of framework. Some gyro stabilizers. We're going to bring up the strength on them to, let's go 7. A little more width. And some length. We're just going to be making a little demonstration version here. Then we grab our rotating servos. Put them on each side. And then a pair of large hinges on each side as well. Now we can take the controls right off the rotating servos, because we're going to use some logic gates to map the controls to them. The large hinges, on the other hand, are going to be for our strafing. So I always keep my green arrows pointing upwards. Makes it easy to remember. And this will be strafing to the right. And the other side is strafing to the left. And let's select all of them, all of the steering hinges, and bring the speed up and the steering help all the way down. Next, we're going to grab the logic blocks. We're going to need 3 OR gates for our basic controls. The first one is going to handle turning. We're going to have green as left and red as right. And connect that to both the rotating servos. Then on this side, in order to go forward, we gotta go in the green direction. So we'll select this logic gate and have forward is green, backward is red, and attach that to only that side. Then we can just do the opposite thing on the opposite side. Green is backwards, red is forwards, attached to this one. Then we give ourselves a little structure for our propulsion. And I'm going to use space thrusters for this one. And for the basic manual controls, that's all you really need. But obviously this one doesn't hold its own altitude and whatnot. So let's add that circuit in. It's not too complex of a logic system. First we'll grab a speed sensor and have that pointing up. Then an XOR logic gate and 2 OR gates. We're going to select our speed sensor, bring that down to 0.02 and have it trigger below. And we're going to attach that to the XOR gate. Then select both the OR gates and have them on L2 with a negative output, and attach them also to the XOR gate. And for the XOR gate itself, no inputs, and you attach it directly to the thrusters or propellers that you're using. So now, it stays in the air on its own and maintains altitude very well. Now you'll notice that it's flickering them on and off, and personally I find that kind of annoying. So, in order to fix it, we can grab an altitude sensor, set it to -500 so it's always on, and bring its output all the way down to 0.01, and attach it to the space thrusters. Now, if this immediately starts going up in the air, it means the creation is too light for 10%, and it can only go down to 10%, so you need to make the creation heavier if it does that. And yeah, we're slightly floating up, so let's just make it a touch heavier. Okay. Looks like we're still rising a little bit, but you see what I mean. The thrusters are no longer always on, and you tend to lose a little bit of altitude when you're maneuvering anyways. So this kind of keeps us even more level. And next we'll solve this spinning destabilizing, because that spin is very hard to control otherwise. So let's actually move our stabilizing logic backwards a little bit. And we're going to add 2 gyros. Now these are not going to be for steering. We're going to select them, and we're going to take their inputs right off. But we're going to crank the strength all the way up to 10. And actually, I used 2 of them in the big one, but apparently that's too much for the small one. Now, it's actually still a little strong, but as you can see, even without controls on them, the damping effect is still there. So let's set that to half strength. There we go, that feels a little bit more natural. We can turn, and then when we stop turning, it stops almost right on the dime. Now if you build a bigger version, you can definitely stabilize it in other directions through the same logic circuit here. So if you wanted side-to-side stability, you'd have to add in some, oh here, I'll leave that there, and I'll show you on the big one what I'm about to describe. So this one has pretty much all the same logic systems in it. Here's our up and down speed sensor, but it also has side-to-side sensors and stuff in here too. They're buried in here a little bit somewhere. But, oh, and here's what I was going to show you. I've got side-to-side thrusters, which apparently I still have connections on, but they cancel themselves out. That's good to know. I'll fix that later. So the logic circuit is going to be the same, but then it'll just be connected into these, and these don't actually provide any strafing force to it. As you can see, that I never even changed the settings on them, so apparently when I go upwards, they also both trigger. But you'll see that when I strafe to the left, or to the right, the ones that push me to the left kick on to stabilize out the movement. But when I'm strafing, they're not on. And that's why you need those, the double OR gates for the negative inputs. And that just ensures that when you want to strafe, your system never interferes with what you're trying to do. Anyways, So if this was helpful, like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.
PlayStation